I knew it'd be silly. Yeah. Explosions are nuts. It's unfortunate that those things don't just come targetable at the same time. But, yeah, let's give it a second to wait. Yeah, it's still got the absolutely amazing cascading explosions. This is beautiful. So upcoming, this is the update to the build. It completely obliterates bosses so fast that they don't exist. It screams through T18 maps as if they were tier 1s. It absolutely obliterates everything, and it even does ailment threshold resistant maps now, which I was not expecting. I've done a 130 something, I believe, in this video that I'll be showing you, and it has absolutely no problems with that whatsoever. This is a wonderful update. The damage is nuts, and I don't even have the Astramentis amulet, which is by far the biggest cost of any of these attribute stacking builds. If I were to have Astramentis, it would cost more than everything else in this build combined. This here is definitely not cheap with the Ingenuity Belt, the Hands of Wisdom in action, gloves with the 12% lightning damage, and really good rings and really good gear, but this here is actually attainable for anybody who's just willing to put in the grind. Unfortunately, it will take some time, but this is actually attainable, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, so rapid fire here, how this build all comes together. It uses Unbound Avatar for absolutely nuking bosses as well. It uses Persistence, Cold Mastery, Fire Mastery, Lightning Mastery, only to jack up the duration. So it's at 16.42, take out Persistence, it's 11.73, and each one of these add a decimal 1 second, I believe, base? Decimal 2 seconds? Yeah, so then you jack up the duration, and that duration is also helped by, since we need to increase duration for Lingering Illusion, it is also helped by the one increased skill effect duration jewel that we have. This is absolutely essential, necessary. Without it, it makes generating power charges with Lingering Illusion not work as smooth as this. It just does not work without putting in the persistence into the jewel here. This I want in Unbound Avatar. I want this to feel good. This jewel is absolutely 100% necessary. Tempest Flurry, it has been reduced from the damage dealer to, oh my god, I just need utility, and it is absolutely bonkers. Like, holy jeepers, Batman, this thing does not need as much damage as I was initially thinking it would to proc these, and even in extreme elemental ailment increased maps, it still procs everything. Not necessarily every mob, but the vast majority of them. So it has martial tempo for the attack speed, primal armament because I have lightning infusion on charged staff. I'll get to that in a second. With Minion Pact procs lingering illusion for giving you power charges. I was using this initially with other minions to give the 40% more multiplier, and I put together this absolutely wonderful little spreadsheet to show how much crazy damage I was doing. I was getting over 1,000,000 DPS on Tempest Flurry and on Ice Strike with Warrior chess piece, but it absolutely was not necessary and not needed whatsoever, and I moved it to make it much better. So it's using this for utility, same thing with Rage, same thing with Inspiration. We are no longer using Elemental Invocation because it's just a big mana sink and it has a lot of spirit cost, and so I reduced this spirit cost to 190 to reduce the barrier of entry. It is very easy to get into, you don't need crazy stuff. If you have lower defenses but great attributes, you're still going to be doing the same thing. If you use charge staff as well for utility, so it's got the perpetual charge just to make it easier to keep up. I gave it more charges with the overflowing power here to make it easier to keep up, just because I didn't want to dodge roll as much as I was, but it honestly didn't change or affect anything. It's just kind of nice. It's a quality of life thing, and I'll get to these nodes in a bit. I still use Electrocute with Neural Overload to give an extra Ailment for the bell and for the extra CC to keep me safe, and Lightning Infusion just to bring up the damage a little bit, so like 100 or 17,000 damage per use, that's per shockwave, from 15,000. And this here is never going to freeze or do anything, so I thought just jacking that lightning damage is the best way, and it seems to be a good proof of concept because it's working very well. Combat Frenzy, I got Clarity on there just so I get a little bit of mana regen. I got all this overwhelming amounts of spirit. I don't even know what to do it anymore. Like it's a lot. This build could even use an unset ring and use a whole extra spirit meta skill. Probably the best one would be Overwhelming Presence if you just wanted the extra consistency with ailment reduced maps, but I'm already able to do over 130% ailment reduced. I did a 150 something and it was a little bit inconsistent but still worked really well. And it's just good. It's really, really good. It works on bosses, works on everybody, but it's not necessarily needed. This is kind of like a cheaper version of Blasphemy with the curse aura that you'd be using. So, you know, it's pretty solid. And then Charge Infusion goes with Lingering Illusion and with Combat Frenzy. So every time you dodge roll, you're going to be getting a power charge as long as you attack with that Minion Pact. Hey kitty. And it's pretty easy to keep up as long as you dodge roll every once in a while. And because dodge rolling doesn't really slow you down at all, it's a little bit awkward from time to time, but for the most part it does good. It does really, really good. And it feels much better with that one Jewel of Skill effect duration. Before you had to use it with Blink and it was feeling terrible. I have taken out Blink because even though it's great mobility on open maps, on closed maps, I found so often I would blink on spot and not go anywhere. I'd get stuck on shrubs, I'd get stuck on walls, stuck around corners, and then the cooldown on blink was making some bossing situations very scary. It's actually making the game more difficult, and I didn't expect that. So blink with Temporalis, amazing. Blink without it, I could do without. Charge Infusion is using no kitty, not claws on the chair. Charge Infusion is using the Combat Frenzy charges and Lingering Illusion power charges to bring your critical hit chance and your attack speed up crazy amounts. So right now, my critical hit chance is sitting at 42.68% without even trying to do much. I actually took some out of the tree, but with any bit of power charges, I'm back to that over 50%, which causes your Herald of Thunder with Ambush to always crit when it's on a full life enemy, which will almost always freeze them, which will almost always cause a chain reaction of Herald of Ice. It is a great little tech that allows a lot of points saved on the tree. Grim Feast, so you can overcap your life without needing meditate, and honestly you're almost always at double overcap life. I have a crazy ES pool, I'm super safe. I have only died one time on this leveling journey while wearing the setup, and that was to a glitch from the Pinnacle boss where it just one-shots you between phases. Tempest Bell, I have taken out Overabundance. The reason for that is because I noticed I was absolutely nuking the bell instantaneously when I used Elemental Invocation, and then it was happening so fast, and with the big mana cost on the bell, it was draining my mana extremely quickly. So I wanted to test and see what that would be like with just Charge Staff. And just Charge Staff and Tempest Flurry with a not overly too high 7.3 attacks per second, more when Charge Infusion goes off, which is all the time, I'm very easily busting the bell well within its time period, well within, and well, with this kind of setup, the 40% more damage on the bell, and if you use Elemental Conflux, if you time it properly, because it cycles on your back here, you'll see every once in a while this cycles, pop in there, you know it's going to be cold damage. It's a little bit awkward, so if you're wanting to actually use that for a boss, you'd use Persistence, and then you would wait to see, turn around, there we go. You'd wait to see when it's going to pop up, and then if it starts flashing for the lightning proc, you go in, It's how you make a meme build. It's really
There's a
fun,
chill in the
and it's
air.
kind of funny to see. I killed tier 4 Zesht in literally one bell. It was a single second, and I destroyed him. And that was because I slotted in concentrated effect over overabundance with my bossing gear here, with my bossing rings. I'll grab that as well. The damage skyrockets, and then as well, when you're just farming breach, I grab this warrior to test it, and oh my god. Mm-hmm. 69,000 damage just directly with it. It does not work the greatest with Black Sun Crest because my health pool went from 9,600 to 6,000 and then goes from 6,000 to 4,300 when I take the helmet off. And the crazy part is the damage numbers basically don't change because this helmet is so good with two big attributes. This is not worth it. Not unless you have Astramentis, and even then I'm not too certain. Whenever I get that extremely expensive amulet, I'll let you know, but I'm like a third of the way there. I think I'm doing a pretty good job farming, but I mean, oh, it's so expensive. It's taken so long. It's taken so long. But yeah, I do not currently see Black Sun Crest being worth it. So yeah, you got concentrate effect, close combat for another big damage multiplier, Rage Forge for another big damage multiplier. I have checked Rage Forge and I have confirmed that it does not consume rage on the shockwave. When I was reading this, I thought maybe it would work like Hourglass works on Charge Staff, but no. As long as you drop the bell, you get the 35% more damage for the whole thing, and potential. Yeah, again, same thing. It doesn't consume power charges when you hit. It's only when you drop it, and it gives you the extra crit chance for the entirety of the bell. It's incredibly good. And then Rising Tempest. Yes, I lost Elemental Invocation, which means I can't just press one button to instantly charge it. But Avatar is also Lightning Cold Fire. In that same video that I showed the tech with Elemental Invocation, Avatar also fully buffs Rising Tempest. So when you start the fight, right before you drop the bell, you hit Avatar. Usually what I do is I hit Avatar, auto attack, drop the bell, auto attack, boss is dead. It's it's nuts. It's crazy nuts. And I'm saying that for Pinnacle bosses, tippy top, not map bosses. Map bosses you can just auto attack and they're gone. And yeah, with this setup, nothing survives. Heralds of Thunder, you need the Ice Bite. That helps proc a lot of cold explosions going through the map, and it's what freezes. This is number one. Number two is Cold Infusion. Without Cold Infusion, you will not have the cold damage necessary to do this. So right now I'm 3,005. Oh, sorry. This is my bossing ranks. No wonder why the damage numbers are so insane. Take that out. This is my mapping setup. This is the numbers that you'll see. So 1,382 for your cold damage on here. That is way more than enough, and you get that from cold infusion and a single cold damage roll on any ring. It helps a lot. Without this ring, it goes way down, becomes a little bit inconsistent. I was rocking this before with about 400 and something cold damage on it, but with a single flat damage roll, because the scaling on your weapon, this goes insane for scaling the flat on Herald of Thunder for the cold explosions. Because of that, Tempest Flurry is not required. You could also do this with Ice Strike, no issue whatsoever, and Tempest Flurry will also get a lot of freezes off, and will make it a little bit sustainable that way as well. If you like the mini blink of Tempest Flurry or of Ice Strike, wonderful. I will probably be swapping to that after I get this level. I'm just trying to keep things consistent as the grind goes on. This is a long time coming. It takes way too long for this. I've done dozens of breaches. I've done probably over 100 maps now. It's taken a bit. Yeah, and so you use Glaciation here to help with the freeze build up, and then Ambush to get the insta crit. When I get a 6 slot in here, I'll add something else. I'm not too sure what yet. Definitely won't be the elemental one that makes it so it can't do ailments. That would brick the build. Well, brick the chain cold, not the build. But I'm sure I'll find something. I haven't thought about it too much because I only have 5 slots, but with a Herald Device, Innervate, this thing is used to shock, to proc Herald of Thunder, so killing shocked enemies with this also doing all the big explosions is a no-brainer. As you saw in the video, I'm constantly with Ice Bite and Innervate. It's amazing, and it means you don't need to put it on your main skill. It's just 70% more damage while mapping basically all the time when you're doing pack-to-pack. Conduction, just to help with the shocks, not really needed, but whatever. It's kind of nice just to have the consistency, but it's definitely not needed with how much lightning damage you're doing. It's just a quality of life thing. Long shot, you could have this on Herald of Thunder if you wanted, but I like it on Herald of Ice because this is what I use to mass blow up the mobs. If you're on an ailment reduced map, you'll be shocking more, which will mean you'll have Herald of Thunder up, dropping things down. If you need the damage to get the freezes off, long shot will do wonders for you. And that will help with the freezes, but then your Herald of Ice will do less damage, so it's just user preference. If you had 6th link here and not on Herald of Ice, I'd say put long shot onto Herald of Thunder. They both are great. Magnified effect, amazing on Herald of Ice, increases the area and increases the overlap from enemies popping. Shock Siphon, this is whenever your health dips below the overcapped maximum from Grim Feast, it'll keep you topped up. And with Herald of Ice popping on so many enemies, killing so many shocked enemies, because it shocks before it kills them, it can just bring you from low to full in one big poof. It is kind of incredible. Now for the gear, we got the Pillar Cage God quarterstaff, specifically with the 12% increased weapon damage for 5 strength. I've done testing and scaling on that, and this is most definitely the most damaging way to do it, with the 24% crit damage bonus. This is way more damage, and I can prove that with my attack speed one here. 27,000 goes down to 20,000. The reason for that is because even though it works better with Tempest Flurry, it helps you move around a little bit faster, but you can definitely tell a significant difference in attack speed, but the damage goes way down even though this takes advantage of the attack speed, because the crit damage scales crazy amounts, and this 24% crit damage isn't 24% when it comes to your skill. So 548, if it was actually 24%, it'd be 520. You take this out, 439. It's the base crit damage, and so it's way too much damage loss without it. And on top of that, things like your Tempest Bell, your Herald of Thunder, and your Herald of Ice, none of them care about attack speed. Not a single one. Your bell is already popping with Tempest, Flurry, and Charge Staff, so it's getting its full damage off. Yeah, you could drop more bells more often when it's popped and charge it faster, but when it's already getting popped, oh well. And it's going to make every shock from that shockwave massively stronger. Massively stronger. Same thing with Herald of Thunder. It's going to help you get the cold damage requirements off for getting the freezes off, which will help with the chain explosions. It takes a lot for this to be worth it to be the attack speed mod. I do not recommend it. I know that there's a gemling build that does amazingly well with it because they hyperstack dexterity and intelligence and don't care about strength. I'm pretty sure that's how it is, dex and int for just this. And they fly across the map at hyperspeed. They're able to do that because their ascendancy gives them double effect of all these travel nodes. We do not have that. Our dex and int won't be as high, but what we will have is ignored elemental resistances. We'll have this avatar state. We'll have this cold conversion here to give us even better pops. We'll have way more spirit, and we will have, in my opinion, a better start on the tree. And they cannot use crit, so they come down here with this lucky lightning chance. Whereas we have a metric ton of crit on our tree, which I believe stacks much better for bossing and nearly as well for maps. They'll be faster, but we'll be more consistent. That is the difference between the Gemling and the Monk. So that is the weapon, definitely 12% and crit damage. The gloves, I got these about a week ago, and I am so happy with these. The 12% lightning damage and great stats. The only way to make these better is to also roll with the increased attack speed for 25 dex. You can get that up to 4%, which will add a lot. So I am at 300, so that is 12% attack speed I would get. Definitely not an inconsistent or insignificant amount. It's quite a bit. With the mapping rings, unless they nerf rarity, which I kind of hope they do, you're gonna want all LE res, dex, and then double rarity and a little bit of flat damage. That will give you a lot of currency and a lot of damage, a lot of sustain. I am definitely overcapped with my res, so I could probably drop that lightning mod if it wasn't giving me so much damage to pump the attributes. But that brings me to the bossing rings. I pump attributes to the moon with this one. You could also do the attack mods, but as you'll see, I got some pretty great attributes on it. And then when I swap this out for my 20 all res, I lose actually and go under cap fire res, but because the boss dies so fast it doesn't matter. I've literally not gotten hit because I don't let them get even a single attack off. I do not recommend using this in maps though. This is horrible in maps. You see how I go from 9,000 something to 6,000? That is massively noticeable. You do get the more rarity based on this version. You could get the increased global defenses to try and reduce that if you're willing to. It might be worth it, but the loss of spirit is very unpleasant because here I need to uncap something, so I need to, I don't even know on this one, probably not even use the charge infusion combat frenzy tech. But yeah, with this chess piece, everything is very easy, very smooth, very good to go with. If you're wanting to do the meme build and go just against bosses, you're not going to use the charge infusion, and you're not going to use combat frenzy. You are going to use lingering illusion, and you see how it's just enough for my build right now with this, but when you put in Warrior it doesn't work. That's because you have to take off the Heralds, and then you'll still be swapping over Mana Remnants for Grim Feast. This will keep, well, actually you don't even need to do that anymore. Honestly, like, maybe it's just habit now, but I like Mana Remnants a lot. It's fantastic. It fixes mana issues against bosses with the crits against the shock target every 2 seconds. It's wonderful, but oof. I just thought about that now. If I kill a boss in a single bell, my mana doesn't dip. It doesn't dip at all. And yeah, this is the way the build works together. My helmet here also has attributes on it. I use a split base specifically so I can get 2 different attributes. I didn't need the extra res. Obviously I could use it now, but whenever we're able to swap out gems, I would probably take out this one and put it in fire res, so that, or this one for fire res, whichever one gives me more. And then overwhelming strike is what I have anointed, but it is definitely not the best one anymore. It is pretty great. It's a fantastic one. It's cheap. It's like a couple of exalt. I would recommend this if you need a little bit of crit chance. I am currently working on getting my crit chance up a little bit more, so obviously when I dodge roll with it, I have, oh yeah, right, because I took out the charge infusion to show elemental infusion, or conflux. Yeah, I got all that, so when I take all this out and I have my power charge, I'm over 50%. I need to get this to about 52% before I can take off Overwhelming Presence, and then, or Overwhelming Strike, and then whenever I upgrade my amulet, I will be either going with Wildstorm or Spaghettification. These are definitely the best ways to go. Also, the way that I believe I'll be getting the easiest way to get the crit chance. So I don't have really any good crit chance jewels. 10 or I think 11% is my highest. I could definitely increase that, no problem. Just 2 jewel swap over, and then also you see how I'm pathed up here. In 1 more skill point, I can take off this strength node to come up here and put 1 node here and the strength node here. It'll give me 10% more crit chance, a little more strength, or a little more crit damage. It's a pretty big damage bonus. The reason why I have it this way is because this took 4 points. I took off from this point on the tree, and it's been pretty nice for quality of life. The damage went up with these guys for 60% crit damage. I've kept the 50% crit strike chance, and I think this is probably the best way to put it together right now. I'll be leveled up kind of soon. It's just a matter of finding a decent crit chance jewel. I don't even know which one to replace, possibly this one, but the crit damage is so nice. It's hard to replace jewels now, it's a problem. And like this one here has no crit chance, but it's got corrupted blood immunity, so that's going to be really hard to replace as well. That's all the gear. With the tree, there's nothing else changed. Just make sure that when you're looking at your attributes here, so obviously I have my attributes pretty well balanced. This is at the 15 breakpoint from the tree and the 25 breakpoint from the gloves, because this is 300, which is, you know, 15 times 2 times 10. The strength, that needs to be in multiples of 5, which is the easiest one to deal with, and int multiples of 10, which is also kind of easy to deal with, definitely easier than 15 and 25 with the dex. You want to keep them kind of sort of balanced so that you get the most out of jack of all trades. And then on top of that, you also kind of want to see if you can get it balanced when you swap out to your bossing rings. So when I swap to my bossing rings, it's still really well balanced. Like, I got super lucky with tweaking around my tree to get it to work well, and this kind of consistency is what's going to super jack your damage. And then if you're wanting to put in the Warrior, it's going to be hard to balance around that. It makes it way harder to figure out what's what, but keep it going there. If I wanted to use this, I might be able to drop a dex node for an int and get a bunch more damage. Let's just test that right now. But with the higher amounts, it might be a bad scaling decision. So I said dex for int. Let's check this out. Here's a dex, go int, let's see what happens. My damage goes down because, unfortunately, I lose more dex than 6 now with higher damage numbers. I lose 7 dex now with higher damage numbers, and the higher scaling. Before, without the chest, if I were to do that, this would only go down to 295 or 294. So, that dex for int, 295. It depends on where it is on the scaling. So, this chest kind of makes it a little bit harder to deal around. So, these are as about optimized as I can get it right now without hyper mathing it out, and I don't want to do that anymore. This is working extremely well. It's got this breakpoint, this breakpoint, this breakpoint. I can't ask for anything better, and it matches with my bossing rings. It is just so nice. It's so nice. But going over the jewels here, every single jewel you're going to want needs to have a positive corrupted mod. This one here, I have corrupted blood. I don't know how much corrupted blood is in the game. I know in PoE 1 it was insane, but pretty sure right now it's only in the ultimatum, so it might not be the most important. But right now, this here is max energy shield, which is wonderful, and max energy shield is additional stun threshold, which is wonderful. These are extremely important mods that obviously pump your defenses and make it so you don't get stunned by every mod. Mana regen rate is just nice quality of life, and I had hoped that increased damage if you consume a corpse recently would work with Grim Feast, but it does not seem to work that way. I don't know if it's a glitch, but it's not working right now. Sapphire, this one here with max energy, shield, crit chance, and skill effect duration, this one here is absolutely essential. And as you can see, I have corrupted dex. Having corrupted attributes as high as possible is ridiculously good for this build. Stacking it is important, extremely important. It does more for your damage than you could really expect. Just this one jewel here, let's just show it on the bell, 36,000. goes down to 35, this one jewel here, 35, this jewel here, 34,000, this jewel here, 35, and this jewel here, 35. It's 1,000 DPS on every single jewel except for the one that was 2. So as you can tell, again, the intelligence, you need also a source of recover mana on kill. This keeps you going in maps. Makes it very, very, very smooth. You don't need to worry about much. And then, yeah, you just get more energy shield, which is nice for defenses, and maximum energy shield to stun threshold. As you'll notice, most of these I'm not worrying too much about damage on them, even though it's giving me a lot. The main thing for these is attributes and utility. So the energy shield, having a source of recover mana on kill, the maximum energy shield is stun threshold, something like mana regen or like energy shield recharge rate are wonderful. Again, attributes number 1. And then crit chance. Crit chance is extremely important, so it saves you a bunch of points on the tree if you can get your crit chance to be able to hit 50% without needing certain points on here. And if I could get my crit chance just a little bit higher, I would be able to drop this very comfortably. I still will be when I upgrade the amulet, but it all comes to play. So again, here it's my only green jewel, 10 strength. It's going to be very hard to replace this if I ever do. I don't really care about the attack speed or damage with quarterstaffs or lightning damage. That strength node is doing the same as all of those damage nodes combined. But what it's not doing is giving me the increased crit chance per attack. So that is a wonderful crit chance, and that is why I have this. It is beautiful. But if I could get a big crit chance blue jewel with energy shield and stun threshold or man on kill or anything like that, it would be better than this by a lot. Then you need the Verana jewel to get your circular teaching. It is a stretch thing, but as you'll see, 9,182. Without this, I lose 3,300 energy shield. It's crazy. It's a crazy amount, but it also comes with the natural energies mod, which is 40% more, so it's even higher than what most people will get. I just got really lucky with this one. I'm using the controlled metamorphosis jewel here with medium large ring. Medium large is the best. Large also works. It gets natural energies, it gets proficiency, it gets falcon technique, but large, it might hit these as well, but I know medium large works really well, and it works the best if you instead wanted to come down this way for the jewel socket to hit Wildstorm, to hit serrated edges for more crit chance, to hit first approach to almost guarantee a crit and have massive damage on first hit mobs, which is basically everything with Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, which would make ailment resistant maps even easier to do and much more consistent. You come down this way, you'll get more lightning damage for scaling everything, you'll get the more crit chance, the more on hit, and that 80% attack damage against full life is the same as Killer Instinct before the glitch got fixed. That is how good it is. Alternatively, you could also put it up here. I believe only large works up here to get one with the river and serrated edges if you were dex based, enhanced reflexes, and coming down here becoming calamity. But for the evasion base or for the energy shield based one, I do not believe this is the way to go. The jewel is best here for this build right now because I have a good natural energies. If you did not have something there, you'd move this around on the tree elsewhere, probably over here because you can't lose this, possibly right here if you didn't want to go the crit chance route. Actually, you can't go here because you don't reach Eternal Youth. Yeah, this is just the best spot for me by a lot, and it allows me to get this great node. Now, I guess I'll show you some compilations of what I was doing before figuring this all out, and then I'll blast through. I'll find something good. I'll find something good and blast through that too. Okay, see you soon. So you drop off your heralds, you keep them for the fight, you turn on your elemental invocation, you go dodge, roll, attack, charge, dodge, roll, attack, charge, dodge, roll, attack again, so you have it there. Turn on your brute, make sure everything is on and ready to go. You can refresh it, dodge, roll, charge if you want some more. drop the bell, drop second bell, and kill the boss immediately.
We that dreamed, we in nightmare, we that are one. Thought by thought, we that failed.
Yeah, the damage is nuts. 2 bells and he's dead. Finally, this is the normal version of the build. You got the bossing rings on with the warrior on there versus the bosses. You got your charge infusion, you got your lingering illusion, you got your combat frenzy for all the buffs, you got mana remnants for the boss, you got your clarity in there because you got the stuff for it. All you have to do is turn off Herald of Ice and take out Grim Feast. I still got apparently 3 Herald of Thunder procs, so this is what it looks like without any memeing and without the silly minions.
We in nightmare, we that are one. Of storming cruelty.
Yeah, it still works just fine. It's 2 bells instead of 1, but you don't need to do any checks or tests. You don't need to wait for the elemental buff to come up. This is kind of incredible. Ready? See.
That dreamed, we in nightmare, we that are one.
Relentless assault!
We that failed.
I knew it'd be silly. Just had to show it off. It's not actually a real build. That's a meme. You'll never. 156% ailment threshold. So if this doesn't work, you'll know that I'm talking out my ass. So I dodge roll, power charge.
No escape!
There we go. And oh look, we're still getting the pops. And then if you're still having... Why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting power charges here? There we go. That's weird. Do I have reduced... Hold on here. What do I got going on here? Why is my thing not giving me power charges? It should definitely be giving me power charges. This is weird. It was giving me power charges. Is that because the chill drowned? It's because the chill drowned. Okay. So chill drown can make this kind of annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. As you can see, just make sure to dodge roll away, and it still works. But if you're having troubles maintaining the pops, just turn on Avatar. Now everything's popping. This here is an incredible combo. I can't believe how well this worked out. I didn't think this is where the build video was going to be going, but as soon as I got there, I was like, I had to share this. I figured this would help a lot of people. Get rid of this big pop there. My avatar's been out for a long time. I'm still just popping pack from pack. Let's turn it back on as soon as I have the ability. Who would have thought that Chilled Drowned would be the map that makes this showcase a little bit less... There we go. Keep the power charge up. Keep the powered staff up. We got 5 charges. We got the staff. As you can see, not losing really any momentum from dodge rolling, because you're just popping pack to pack to pack. I'm not using Avatar much, but hey, if I ever needed it, it's there. You know, this is supposed to have an extra breach. I haven't seen a single breach yet, and this is a breach map. We're gonna do the breach. wherever it is.
Infusion.
There's one. As you can see, I got frenzy charges. Let's get a power charge here. Get another one.
The mighty fall.
There we go. Lots of power charges. Staff will last a while. I'll even turn on Avatar here now. Refresh the staff, because why not? I don't even know what Chilled Ground is mine anymore. There we go. Like this, if it can deal with this much element reduced map, it can deal with pretty much any map. And I would say the least important skill to have on your bar is that wonderful, wonderful, overwhelming presence. This is even better just having the bell in there, so that way you got the crazy, crazy pops in time of need.